And big guy. Now I know. Okay. All right, so here we are, Troovario. We're just finishing up, or just starting maybe his 7th week, somewhere around there. It's here to be started under saddle. It's a young Lusitano. So I just tacked him up over in the barn. He's at the point where he's standing in the cross ties in the barn. Stands, you know, good to have his feet handled and be tacked up and brushed and bridled and all of that. Now that he's a little bit lighter, we'll move around a little bit and just see what his thoughts and opinions on things are today. He notices I have a small bridge set up in the corner there. He notices that is there. The cavaletti, which wasn't there the other day. So he's quite aware of things that change and move around and things that are not in their proper place, which sometimes causes him a little bit of concern and a little bit of stress. But it gives us a chance to work on some things and to help him gain a little bit of confidence and curiosity and work on some courage, which is not always there. Good boy. We let him move around these things and have a look at things. And just let him, if he wants to trot, he can trot. If he wants to move off or do whatever, just not really looking to do much of anything with him. Just let him move around and let him see some sights and check out these new things. So when he was brought here and he went to load on the trailer and he stepped on the ramp and kind of really scared himself and had a hard time with that, something that I noticed with him in beginning to work with him is things that kind of moved around his feet or were unfamiliar around his feet. Not picking up his feet and stuff, he was good with that, but ropes around his feet or things moving quickly, pool noodles brushing his legs when he's moving, strange noises, sounds and sensations, touches down around his legs and feet that he wasn't expecting, or that kind of caught him a little bit by surprise, was a pretty big deal for him. So for him to have the reaction on the trailer ramp isn't really a surprise after kind of seeing how he was with things around his legs and feet. So we worked quite a bit on being able to be okay with having things like a pool noodle and the flag and stuff like that rubbed on his legs when he's standing still. There you go. So here he's just kind of exploring this a little bit on his own. And the fact that he walks away from it, I really don't mind, because he took himself to that bridge and wanted to check it out a little bit, which is something that we've been working on. So for him to do that is a really nice sign, and for him to kind of check it out and then decide to leave, I really don't mind. And we'll just play around here so he kind of gets comfortable in this area. But going back to what I was talking about with his legs and feet, we worked a lot on being able to different objects and different things, pool noodles around his feet, and just having him kind of start to get a little bit better idea of where his feet are in relation to the rest of his body. I think maybe he's just not 100% sure, or even really give it much thought before as to where his legs are, where his feet are. He just moves it automatically and doesn't really, that's not really something that's been too thought-provoking for him. So when he starts to feel sensations around his feet that he's not familiar with, and sounds and all of that stuff, it bothers him a little bit, because he's never really had to give too much thought to what's going on. He's just moving his body, and life is good. Everything's just kind of automatic. So once we were able to Good for you. Once we were able to touch him down there with pool noodles and stuff, and then we put that into some motion and did the same thing when he's moving, you know, that was, again, brought about some responses and some uncomfortable moments for him till we kind of got used to that. And then, so I'm just kind of working now towards stepping over this bridge as kind of a lead up to being able to walk up the ramp on the trailer. Super, that's it, good boy. And if we can cross over here and he hears that noise under his feet and he feels that different feeling of the wood and the hollow sound, should be just kind of a little bit of a stepping stone from walking on the sand here and being touched on the legs to being able to walk over the bridge to being able to be a little bit more comfortable stepping on the trailer ramp. Good boy. So then as we're doing this stuff here, just kind of moving around and playing, you can take the opportunity to start to work him through the body, move the shoulders, move the hindquarters, move him forward, bring him around. All the stuff that we would be looking to do, of course, under saddle again. And just taking some time down here on the ground to work on all of that, to work his body, to help him get a better understanding of how to use his body and how to move. Good. So we can start to work and build the body through the groundwork, and then a little bit of riding, just because he's very young, you know, and needs a lot of developing. So we don't really necessarily need or want to spend the whole session in the saddle, which could be a little bit taxing for his body. So we can just do a lot of different things all within one session. Some groundwork, introduce some new things. Good boy. Just give him the chance to feel. Good. And kind of wrap the end of the whip around his legs and just give him a little bit of a reminder or review of that. Yeah, good. Let's try that again. Shoulder. Good. Good. And through all of the other work that we have done up to this point has given him a fairly good sense of self-management and a little bit of confidence and the ability to try to step over something like this bridge without too much fuss. And then I'm not going to really work on trying to make, drill this bridge crossing. I'm not going to overdo it to where it just becomes a meaningless, dull task. He did good there, so we'll just leave it at that. Maybe spend a few minutes just kind of working on a little review of the sounds and what they mean, a little bit in hand. Just get a shorter rope here, something a little easier to work with. Hey, that's it. I like to hook it right on the front of the halter here so I can go from side to side. Just makes it a little more user-friendly, a little easier to hang on to than this big long rope. Good boy. So again, kiss noise to go forward, to get some energy, mostly directed to the hind end. Clucking noise to move the front end, the shoulders. Pick up on my inside rein here and kind of connect it a little bit more directly to this inside shoulder. That's it. And then walk forward. Shushing to go back and kind of focusing a little bit on the elevating of the front and the shoulders to step back. The kissing noise and the energy directed a little bit more to where our leg would be now. Kind of refocus him here. He has a hard time being separated from Sega, his traveling partner. Really doesn't like to be away from her for long, so we've been working on that as well. Oftentimes he'll be gonna bring her out. He's in the turnout pen without her, getting himself stressed and worked up. Even though he's surrounded by focus. He's surrounded by horses. She's not right there directly attached to his hip, so he has trouble with that. If he's in the, oftentimes I'll bring them both in the barn, put them in the stall and let them have a bit of a, hey, pay attention. Bring them both in and let them have a bit of a snack, and then bring her out to work. And he stays in the stall, but he gets himself fairly stressed. Not to the point where he's not kicking or doing anything crazy like that, but he's quite worried that she's not there. And I do that fairly regular because he kind of needs to go through a little bit of that weaning process and learn that he can manage okay by himself. And it's just a lot to do with that. A lot to do with the anxiety and stuff that he carries. Good. Which is often a good thing that comes out of them going away to a different place for training. It's kind of like, kids going away to summer camp. It can be a very growing and maturing experience for them. So it's just some of the things that we're working on helping him cope with, and all of those little bits that lend themselves to helping him be just a little bit more confident and comfortable and courageous in the moments when he's a little bit on his own and he's a little bit worried about things. So in those moments when he starts to call, she's calling out there to him now. I can hear her, so he's answering her. And we can just use those moments to kind of redirect his focus, bring him a little bit more into our space and be aware that we have a conversation going on here that he could be a little bit more invested in. And we don't have to do that through walloping on him or really going after him, just kind of redirecting his focus and attention so that he's got a little bit more of his mind on what we're doing. So I'll ask him to come around here. Gonna move this shoulder up and over. He's leaning on me. There we go. Then I'll back away and draw him into me. Push the right shoulder away. Yeah. Kind of turn my body into the turn here. And setting up on the ground what we'll ultimately like for him to do from the saddle. So he follows our body around, mirrors what we are doing. I'll draw him into me here, push the left shoulder, turn into the turn this way, guard the right shoulder from falling on me. The left shoulder, sorry. Maybe step the left hind under. That's it. Draw him into me here. Move the right shoulder over. Push a little bit here with my body. Turn into the turn. And just be mindful of that right shoulder. Maybe step the right hind over. And draw him into me. Good boy. Move the right shoulder. Move the left shoulder. Little bathroom break. Right shoulder. Back away and draw him into me. Left shoulder. Draw him into me. Right shoulder. And it just kind of becomes a little bit of a flow, a little bit of a rhythm, a little bit of a dance type. And just kind of trying to balance him a little bit, just being aware that he doesn't just fall in on one shoulder or the other, that he's a little bit mindful of keeping himself a little bit balanced physically and mentally. And just kind of working the body and bending the body, gaining some softness, some relaxation, some connection to what he's feeling in the body. Good. Half halt. Back. Good. Good. And again, not working that till it becomes a meaningless, dull task. We'll call it good there. And we just kind of work on little bits of that each day, and it just slowly improves and gets better and better. If we work on trying to stick to it until it's perfect, it oftentimes doesn't get better. In fact, it just starts to get a little bit, it can deteriorate a little bit. Well, you can have just a little bit of a look at that. Calling for help because his buddies aren't around. And these are things that typically just tend to go away as well. He doesn't often call a lot, but if somebody's outside feeding lunch to the horses right now too, so they're kind of calling and moving around a little bit, and it's all okay. As long as he doesn't get too out of hand and carried away with it, we can just work within that. And then it's one of those things that if we don't get too wrapped up in it, typically tends to dissolve itself without too much trouble. Okay. To remind him once in a while not to just sort of lean on you and walk through you and push on you. Oftentimes in the morning in the stall when I come to get him, he'll be kind of right at the door and not pushing through you, but kind of leaning into you a little bit. So it's a good idea at the moment to just ask him to kind of back away and give you some space from the door, so he doesn't get too used to the idea that he can just kind of crowd you and push into you in those moments as well. Important that he kind of learn to regulate those moments. He's a fairly emotional guy, and sometimes he has a hard time kind of regulating his emotions a little bit. So a lot of the work that we've done up to this point, and will continue to do to a certain degree, has been to help him really figure out how to manage his emotions a little bit and be just a little bit more self-regulated. And it's all something that you see a lot of in horses that are a little bit anxious. And maybe they don't often show that stuff at home because it's pretty easy to present as calm and courageous and you know, when you're really comfortable in your environment and you know the system, you know what's going on, it's pretty easy to come across as very much in control. And when they go to a new place, you know, we're not just down the road either, it's a new province. So he's a long ways away. He doesn't know the people, he doesn't know the place, he doesn't know the sights, the sounds, the smells, the taste, the air, the water, everything is different. So that's when you tend to see these characteristics come out. Luckily for him, the one constant that he does have is the mare that he came with, so he has her for comfort, which is largely why he speaks to her quite a bit. And that's okay, we can work with that, like I said. But it's interesting sometimes, you know, sometimes the horses show a different side of themselves when they come in for training, just because they're in a completely foreign environment. And that's where it becomes a really, you know, it can be a very much a growing experience for them. Gives them a little bit better way to manage the world and understand things. That, and he's very young, so we got a lot of maturing to do as well. There you go. And he gets a bit distracted there. Gates are opening outside, which means feed is going in. Okay. Yeah, good. We can just kind of be a little bit consistent and a little bit insistent that we carry on with our job. We start to work. So here I'm just going to be reminding him to stay moving forward. Try not to trip over his feet. So this little touches when he starts to draw back a little bit, encouraging him just to move forward and kind of elevate up through the shoulder and push the neck forward and upward and out. Just letting him kind of start to get a feel for being able to be a little bit more responsible for just keeping himself going. So even at this early stage, trying to build in the work ethic and the idea for him that he kind of continues to move until we make a different suggestion or we ask something else. And that's only going to be there for short periods, of course, but it just helps get to the point where eventually we don't have to carry him around. Good boy. And little short sessions of harder work. So at this point, for a horse 2 months down the road, this would be very easy work. For him, this is a bit of a challenge. So we push him a little bit, we bring the energy level up, the intensity up a touch, and then give him a little break and a breather. Kind of get his attention here a little bit. So in the moments when he gets distracted and he's looking off somewhere and his ears are focused and he's out here hearing things and paying attention, those are all okay. We'll give him the opportunity to kind of do that and have a look and a listen. But after a little bit, I just want to bring a touch of his focus back to here as well, so he doesn't just get too daydreamy and distracted and kind of forget that we're here. And I just need an ear to kind of turn back or whatever it is, just so that we give him the awareness that we're aware of what he's looking at, and that's okay, but also we want to try to build in that understanding for him that he also needs to be aware of of this space and this conversation as well. So we don't want to just micromanage every time he gets distracted. We're on him and we're trying to correct him. Give him the opportunity, so long as he feels, you know, you got to judge that horse by horse and day by day. Some horses you can't really do that too early with because they're just, it's not really safe to do so. But if you feel that it's okay, move the shoulder. So we're working on kind of being able to understand how to move the shoulder over under saddle, which is a little bit trickier than when you're just on the ground, but the same idea. There you go. Same idea. I'm going to connect this inside rein, in this case the right rein, a little bit upwards towards the shoulder. Put my leg, and now touch him on the shoulder and cluck to him so he knows that that's the specific body part that we're talking to. Good. Good boy. Good. That's it. Good for you. Yeah, good. Just going to see if I can help shape him a little bit here. Keep that shoulder balanced a little. As much as it feels that it's doable. So as the speed goes up, the balance changes. So yeah, good, thank you. He's now at that stage too where when we use the hand to kind of maybe ask for a little bit of flexion or a little bit of the shoulder or whatever the case may be, when he feels the rein, he's trying to decipher if that means to stop, because in the beginning that was, we just had kind of, you know, go and whoa kind of thing. So he's now trying to decipher all of the other inputs that he's getting from us. Does this rein aid mean that I'm to stop? So he gets those little hiccups in his going, particularly in this direction, because it's harder for him to bend and kind of figure out what we're asking. So he's searching for an answer, and he's trying, which is really all we can ask for. Good boy. See if we can get the inside hind to step over. That's it. Good. Inside shoulder. This one. There you go. That's it. Shoulder. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to lead him to the left over here and just ask that right shoulder to come up and over. Good for you. Go to the right hind. Good. Then we'll go to the left. Yep, good. Or the left shoulder, good. Try the left shoulder again, lead him to the right, go straight. Yeah, over the jump, left hind, left shoulder. That's it, then right out, good. So again, little bits of lots of things, nothing too long that it loses any value. Just kind of riding around, letting him feel that movement in the body. Start to swing through the body a little bit and develop some muscle and some strength, coordination, balance. Good boy. Okay, you ready? Do a bit of trot again. Touch on the shoulder. Good. Gonna change my posting here. Okay, you ready? I'd have a little bit of something stuck in his throat. Yeah. So we've just kind of started touching onto the canter, which oftentimes with young horses, I might be at, you know, kind of the second or third week into the third month before we do that, but it's some horses too, and with him, he has a very easy, balanced way of going. But sometimes just a tendency to kind of be a little bit withholding in his movement. A lot of that at this stage is just him not really understanding, but the canter has helped to kind of open that up a little bit. So I don't have a set time, a set goal, or an idea when I want to canter the horse. I canter them when they feel like they have a pretty good handle on things, and if I ask for the canter, it's not going to be scrambly and unbalanced and full of tension, because just cantering for the sake of cantering on a young horse oftentimes just creates tension and worry in them if they're not ready for it. Once you get a rider up here and they have to contend with everything they have to understand and try to deal with having a rider up there at the same time, it can be a lot. So some horses you need to wait, or at least I think you do, and some horses you can go there a bit sooner. Good boy. This side's a bit harder for him. It's not quitting time yet. So we'll try a little bit this way, and we're just kind of working on making it a little better each time. Good, ready? Very nice. Who's that good-looking horse in the mirror? Yeah. That's you, yeah. Good. Yeah, good. And he offered up this little bit of trot here, so tells me that he's still feeling kind of good. He's got a little bit of gas left in the tank. And I feel that's always come. Remind him there to just be a little bit more. Okay, come. Yeah. Sorry, man. Bathroom break. All right, my fault. Let's try again. That's it. Yeah, good. And just starting to kind of work a little bit on his understanding of half halts now. Just very little. But if I use a verbal half halt, and then go again. Good. So again, up till now, that noise has been kind of to come down, to stop. And now that he has the understanding of going and slowing, we can start to melt the two together a little bit, where I can half halt him and then keep going, half halt him, keep going. So he starts to build in the idea that he can come back, rebalance, kind of compress the body a little bit, but still be thinking about going forward. And again, of course, very, very, very small bits of that, given that he's just starting his under saddle stuff. But we can introduce those things fairly early. Doesn't mean we have to expect half halts like a high level horse. But we can plant those seeds nice and early. Good. Yeah, that's it. Good. Yep. Nice. Good. Good boy. So that's kind of what we've been working on up till now. Some days there might be a little bit more groundwork stuff. Some days the groundwork might incorporate a little bit more of the tools, the flags, the stuff like that. Just as a bit of a review for him, or any of that stuff. So, like I said, one of the biggest things was things around his legs. You had mentioned the hose, so when water started to run down his legs, anything that kind of touches him that he's not really ready for and prepared for, and it just, even if it doesn't have to be anything that, you know, really jumps out at him, surprises him, but it does catch him a little bit off guard, and then he reacts to it quite strongly and gets big, and then his emotions start to override his thoughts. And we're just sort of building in the understanding for him to respond a little bit more appropriately before giving the big response. And that's just something sensitive horses come with, and it just is what it is, and something that we continue to work on as they grow and learn and develop. But he's already putting those pieces together much, much better. So just time, work, consistency, age, learning, exposure, just brings all of that. So anyway, I think I'll leave it there for today. And yeah, thanks. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.